What are citations? That is what we're going to talk about in today's episode. So citations are directories, and I'll use the two terms interchangeably to kind of help make sense of it. But a directory is things like the BBB, Yellow Pages. There's some directories that are very generic, and there's some directories that are very specific to an industry. And when I do an audit, one of the things that we'll look for is, are the directories is there a profile on those directories? But also, more importantly, are the directories information, is it consistent across all of them? And going back to your Google My Business, because what Google does is it looks at all these directories to determine if your business is valid. It also provides you a backlink. So it's kind of two things going on there. And the subtlety is if you don't have the profile, well, one is an easy win. If you don't have the profile and you create it, it's an easy win. You almost always see an uptake in rankings. And then the other thing though too is Google compares. So even if you have the PieCheck Law Firm and then over here you have PieCheck Law Firm, that's a discrepancy and Google flags it negatively. So you want to make sure everything is consistent. And just going all the way down to the directories, they call them in Bright local business listings. It's the same thing. So that's where the confusion comes in, right? It's because they all have different names and different people call them different things, but it's all the same stuff, right? 411, BBB, can pages, you get the gist of it. You want to make sure you're found. You want to make sure you claim them, which is kind of the same thing, but not always. And then you want to make sure this is name, address, phone, errors, right? So you want to make sure that it's consistent. So for example here, at the BBB, Evan, who is the owner of Dirt Nerd Earthworks, has not claimed it, but it's there. And he has everything else listed. But then down here on Facebook, he doesn't have his address listed. And it's because he doesn't want people showing up at his business, which I get, but it does create a small issue on your SEO. I'm not really sure he has a Google My Business, so I don't know why I do know why. Because it's Google My Business, he chose not to put his address in, and so it can't find it. So it's a downfall. But you can even see, look at the differences in how the phone numbers are showing up. Believe it or not, that makes a difference. They should all be the same. Now, because he's only working with locals, he doesn't need the Canada code or the international code. He just needs to be 250 in brackets so it's consistent. So what we do almost in month one when we take on a new client, if they have a physical business, we'll optimize their Google My Business and update all their citations. And there's various ways to do it. Bright Local has ways that you can do it manually. There's tools out there like Yext that does it automatically. We use both because Yext has dedicated relationships with certain providers and they will only work with those providers and they have access to the API and they automatically update it, but they don't have access to all of them. So Yext isn't good for legal. They almost have no relationship with any of the legal directories, so then you have to go and do it manually. But that is what citations and directories are. And when you fix these, your rankings improve. So it's a really easy win. Anybody can do it. The biggest challenge usually is time and also access to the tools. But it's really important to know where you stand. If you're wanting an audit that looks exactly like this, I can create a PDF for it. Just leave a comment, send me an email, reach out to me on my website. I'll do the audits. The audits are free because I just put it in a Bright Local and they pull it up, to be honest with you. I don't charge for them. And then we can hop on a call and I can explain to you what's going on. So in this case, he wanted to know where he was ranking in Vernon, which is a nearby city to Lumbee. So he wanted to know that, like, where am I ranking and how do I rank better? So I wanted to give him some tips. So we're showing the competition in Vernon for one particular keyword. And keep in mind, there's going to usually be more than one keyword that you're trying to rank for. And then, of course, it tells you things that you can do on your website, usually depending on how technical you can do them yourself to improve your website. And page speed score is huge almost always. It's videos and images and unless it's done properly by people who do it all the time, like a web agency. They're never optimized properly. So make sure you have your citations done, your directories done. If you don't know where you stand, request an audit. Thanks.